Well, folks, the weekend is over, and I know for many of you it's a short work week, but that's still no excuse. It's time for me to ask you, what are you doing? Hello, folks. I'm your host, Chad Stanton, and on this show, it's not about me and what I'm making in my shop, but what you are making in your shop. Now, if you should find that you're enjoying this video and it's your first time here, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And please visit the sponsors that make this show possible. Okay, so we had a pretty full episode today, a lot of entries, so I'm just going to dive right into it. Now, here's a fellow who's been on the show in the past, and he's got another project to show for us. It's Frank Yazzetta. Frank made this bookcase out of some 2x10 and some walnut wood that he said was just scrap that was laying around. And I have to admire this because I always save my scrap wood. It's usually too big to throw out, but too small to really make anything out of it. Regardless, I have just tons of scrap wood, and unfortunately it just keeps growing. But Frank was able to utilize that and make himself a very handy bookcase. So thanks for sending that in, Frank. Keith Hudson. Keith, I believe, is new to the show, but he apparently is not new to woodworking because his wife either is a chiropractor or she does something where she has customers come in and they have to lie down. She helps them with their back. So he made this bed, and the bed has hydraulics on it so it can go up and down. And I was curious if Keith had experience in hydraulics there, if it was a kit that he could just bolt right on, or if he had to actually do some research and custom design that. But still neat either way there, Keith. And does it have like that James Bond ejection switch to it? So if the customers refuse to pay, I know, stick to the script. John Vigorito. John took some time to do a little organizing in the shop. So he's got his drill press stand, and he wanted it more organized. So he put some drawers underneath or some pull-outs for all the drill bits and whatnot, something that I actually need to do here in mine. And he also had his wife complaining that the family is just leaving their shoes thrown about. So he made this shoe organizer, a shoe shelf for it. And you can see that the shoes are all neatly put into place there. I wonder how long that's going to last, though, really. I mean, if you got kids, that's not going to help anything. But anyways, it was a good attempt. Good attempt there, John. John said he had a little mistake when he was making it, the middle shelf. He wanted to dado it into the sides. And as he was doing the procedure, he made the dado just a little bit too wide. And I think that's happened to all of us. But I have a video. I'll put the video in the description below. I did a video a long time ago on how to get a perfect fitting dado. So if you're interested, John, or anyone else, you can check that out. But thanks for sending it in, and don't feel bad about making those mistakes. That's how we learn. That's how we grow, and not being afraid to share your mistakes with others, so that people realize that we're all just human too, right? Okay, so there's a couple people this week with names that are new, and I am definitely going to screw them up. So please don't be offended when I butcher your name. So the next fella is Szegedi Gergely. There you go. That's all I can do. Regardless how bad I messed up his name, this fella is a phenomenal woodworker. Now look at this piece here. At first glance, this bench looks really simple. Take a look at the details on this thing. It looks simple, but it's really graceful. It's intricate, It's got curves. It's got angles. This is a piece of high caliber craftsmanship, and that's what I love about this show is no matter where you're at, whether you're a beginner or you're a craftsman, there's something we can all take away from it. And I just love this piece. It's not flashy, it's not over the top, it's not some big giant piece. It is a beautiful looking bench, and I just want to thank you so much for sending that in. I hope you send in more of your work, and I hope you don't hold it against me how I pronounce your name. Moving on. Geroge Wilmore. Now, George didn't have a project this week that he made out of wood, but he made his own tools. He made the bevel, the square, and the marking gauge. And the marking gauge he actually made from an old joiner blade. So pretty neat stuff. I was telling George that I admire anyone who can work with metal because I just hate the metal shavings. I can't stand them. But I'm always amazed at the stuff that people can fabricate out of metal. So really cool stuff there, George. Thanks for sending that in to us. Kevin Lundgren. Kevin says he's new to woodworking. He's been doing it about 2 years. And his wife asked for a desk because she does a lot of crafts. And so he decided, why not? And made this desk with all the drawers so she can store everything and put it away. And I was telling Kevin, it's really nice when you have the ability to make something for someone else. I mean, the satisfaction you get from creating it, and then the joy on their face and receiving it, and every time they use it, they're always going to think of you. I think that's awesome. So nice job on that, Kevin. Hope to see more of your work in the future. All right, let's see. Robert Slemons. Slemons. Robert made this box. Now, again, this is a neat little project. We always tend to think that, cool projects have to be big projects. And honestly, the small ones are the toughest because we're going to hold them close to us. We're going to look at all that detail. We can get all the way around it. That's exactly what he's got with this box here. He has the grain continuously go around all four sides. Really cool. It makes it a beautiful little box that most people probably wouldn't notice when they first glance at it. They're going to notice it's a beautiful box, but they're not really going to catch why, and it's those subtle little details of that. He also reinforced the corners, the mitered corners there with splines. So all in all, beautiful looking box, well constructed. Nice job on that, Robert. All right, following up with another difficult name for me. Aziz Rahman. I'm sure you get my name goofed up too, right? It's not just me. He made this small clock, and he admits that he was inspired by other things that he saw on the internet. It's not completely his design. He's not trying to take credit for that. But he was able to take features off of a couple different projects, combine it onto this, and made it his own. And I think that's what the spirit of woodworking is really about. It's not copying others, but every piece of furniture, every style of furniture has influences from other things. So like you've heard of Chippendale style furniture, they were influenced by the Asian culture furniture a long time prior to that. So they just kind of combine the different elements and create their own, and he did the same with his. So nice job, and thanks for sending in your project. Donald Dean. Now, Donald, for a while, has been working on this outfeed table, and it's all done. So you can see it's rather large, so he can use it, obviously, for the outfeed of boards on his table saw, but it also looks like it can double as a workbench. And he kept saying the whole time that it was going to have crates to it, not drawers. And I forget how many. I thought it was something like 19 crates or something. And I was real curious, why crates and not drawers? And then he told me it makes sense. If he's working on the other side of the shop, and let's say he wants his chisels or his files, he can just take this crate out, bring it over to the work area that he's at, and it's all right there. Unlike a drawer, usually you have the drawers with the glides, and you would have to, disconnect that, or you're making all these trips back and forth across the shop. So there you go, pretty smart, pretty simple, and very efficient on it. And I do like the fact that Donald had to show me there in one of the crates. He has his forest saw blade. Yeah, nice job there, so thanks. John Hutchinson. Now this entry I just absolutely loved, and you'll see why here. It's called Disco Waiver. And so let's just run this little clip here, and had me cracking up. I don't know what purpose this serves, but I love it. I just love it. So, John, thanks for sending that in. It's creative, it's mechanical, it's got a little bit of everything going on there, and it's disco. So, thanks, John. Jamie Page. Jamie is over there in the United Kingdom, and I'm not mistaken, I think Jamie has his own web show that he does too, like a podcast show. But Jamie sent in some work that he did. Last year, over there in the UK, they have the Maker Central festival or show. It's a pretty big deal. And so he made this scroll saw work of the Queen Elizabeth, which was actually a Charles Deering pattern. You've heard me talk about Charles Deering before, probably one of the best scroll saw artists out there. But Jamie did this, and they auctioned it off there at the show and was able to raise money for a school over there for children that has severe learning difficulties. So highly skilled fellow there. Jamie had over 30 hours into that, and I do not have the attention span for it. Really cool and for a really good purpose. So thank you, Jamie. Hope you send in some more work to show here on the show. And if anyone is interested, I'll put down in the description there below, Jamie has a video of him actually making that scroll saw work there, so you can check that out. Peter Fitzpatrick over there in Ireland. So we're not going too far. Went from England to Ireland. Peter made this hexagon box. He made it for his neighbor. And his neighbor is coming up on the 80th birthday. And he made it out of, this is cool, made it out of teak from the farmhouse that the neighbor grew up in. Yeah, pretty cool. So he reinforced the miters with the dovetail keys, and obviously presented it to the neighbor and filled it with chocolate and everything. Neighbor just loved it, and I thought that was really sweet of him to do. But of course then he had to make a second one out of pine for his sister. His sister absolutely had to have one. And now after watching this, I'm sure my sister is going to be emailing me and asking one for herself. So thanks a lot on that one, Peter. All right, let's see. We have Robert Smith. I got everyone there, yeah. Robert Smith is next. And Robert made these dog dish feeding stations. I made two of them. He made one out of cherry and Paduke, and the other one was made out of red oak. Now, the one out of cherry, I believe he made for his sister-in-law because she just got a new dog. So that would be a nice little gift. The one out of red oak, he made, and it's going to be auctioned off at a charity event there in Delaware for the vets. So once again, viewers of this show and woodworkers all over doing their part to help out with different causes, and in this case, helping out with the vets. We talked about that some last week, so really nice job there, Robert. Thanks for what you're doing, and thank you for your photos. My friend Frank Howard. Frank has been working on this humidor box, and I thought he said for his father-in-law. It's been a while, but he's got that done. He's also working on this mug, so you can see the mug is finished here. Well, not quite. See, Frank is making these mugs as gifts for the holidays, and of course he has to make 9 more. I do not envy you. And to top it off, he doesn't have all the way until Christmas to get them done because he said they're going to California to see family, so they have to be done by the 15th. So apparently Frank is probably not watching the show right now because he's in the shop trying to get those mugs done. But thanks, Frank, for sending that in, and keep us posted on if you meet your deadline or not. Danny Barrow. Danny is new to the show. Danny is also over there in the UK, and he's sending in this table. Now, he didn't say much about it, other than it was made out of sycamore and cherry, and he said that was the first time working with that type of wood for himself. And that is a challenge, isn't it? I mean, it's funny how the characteristics of different wood have differences among them. You know, maple from oak, from cherry, from walnut. I don't know if I myself have ever worked with sycamore. Trying to think of the different woods I have. But anyhow, it doesn't matter. They all have their own different characteristics to them. And the table looks pretty cool. I made something similar like that for myself years ago. But thanks for sending that in, Danny, and hope to see more of your stuff. Willie Cortez. Now, Willie made 6 iPhone holders. And he made 6 for a friend, singular. 6 phone holders for one friend. And so I was teasing with Willie, you know, what is your friend doing? Starting your own telemarketing company? Anyhow, they're nice. It's a nice gift to give. I have a little cell phone holder that my friend Les gave to me, and it's nice to be able to just simply prop it up there instead of throwing it on the desk. So I'm sure she'll love it for all her phones there, Willie. Don Bullock, my friend Don over there. Don has had some health issues. He's slowly getting himself back out in the shop. And one of his projects that he's doing is he's making ice cream scoopers for the holidays. And he, I think, has to make a total of 12 ice cream scoopers. And it's been a while for him since he's used his lathe. He said it's been like 30 years since he's really used his lathe. And, well, I think you're going to get back into the groove real soon there, making 12 of those ice cream scoopers. And who doesn't love ice cream, right? I mean, I know we're coming in the winter. It's going to be cold, but still, who doesn't love ice cream? So those will be great gifts. And if anyone's interested, again, in the link, in the description below is a link. Don has a video of how to make the ice cream scooper. And it shows, obviously, the steps for turning the handle and the kit for putting the actual ice cream scooper on, and like what he did for the finish and all that. So if you're interested, check it out. The link's below. And thanks for sending that in, Don. Joseph Travis. Joseph is also new to the show. And this is pretty amazing. First of all, I want to congratulate Joseph because he's one of the few people that have been able to take his hobby of woodworking and he's turned it into a full-time job. Yes, he has his own furniture making business there in Minneapolis, or Minnesota, not Minneapolis, I think it's St. Paul's, Minnesota. And he's making a living full-time doing that. And one of the things that he was asked to do and did this graciously was a police officer in his area got stage 4 cancer, and the officers are trying to raise money to help out with his bills from the doctors. And so what Joseph did was he made this grandfather clock, and it's a combination of CNC and, you know, just regular woodworking tools, and it's going to get auctioned off with all the money going to help that officer. So not only is it amazing work that you have done there, Joseph, but you've done it for such a good cause. You obviously are a very kind-hearted person, and I'm sure that officer is going to be deeply, deeply touched. And whoever wins the clock, they just got themselves a masterpiece there. So again, thank you. Andrew Eikum. I'm eagerly watching what Andrew is doing. Andrew, for a while now, has been building his own TV console. He's designed it. He's building it out of some beautiful Corson white oak, and he's doing it all by hand. And so he has the doors done. I think he said he's waiting on the glass and the hardware to hang it, and then probably next week we'll be able to see the full TV console finished. But what I'm also really excited for Andrew is he's been working out of a small garage in his home, and it's not heated, and he's coming in the winter. So Andrew has took the plunge, and he's rented a small spot for him, to a little art studio, if you will, to get in there and keep himself warm and continue doing more woodworking. And so there's the photo of him just getting his bench and such in there. So really exciting times. I'm happy for him and eager to see how he has it all set up, and, you know, kind of what he's going to be making in it. So it's going to be a good time for you there, Andrew. Good time for us to be watching you too. Phillip Quinn, my friend, my buddy, Phillip. He has made himself a coffee table, and he said he did this a little while ago. Made this coffee table out of some 2x4s and some 4x4s. Again, just taking whatever was laying around and utilizing it to making it into something purposeful. And he got this glass for it because he works at a hospital, and they were just throwing it out. You know, I mean, they probably do these remodelings and the updates, and they were just throwing it out. So he took that glass home and said, man, I'm going to make a coffee table out of it. And he did. It looks cool. On top of that, he's been busy making some holiday gifts too, and he's making these little treasure chests. And he's got 5 of them to make. He's had to wrangle in and get his wife to help him out too with it, because he said the deadline is coming. He's feeling the pressure, but he's got one of the boxes done. So there we go. It looks pretty cool. So good luck with that, Phillip. Keep us posted on it. Okay, and rounding out the list today is the duck. Now, the duck is working on a new project. I find this one kind of interesting. He said his daughter wants to make a box for her boyfriend. And he carved out this pattern, and then he said they're putting like a special paint on it. And I was curious the pattern. It looks kind of like Aztec or maybe some kind of Native American Indian design. I wasn't quite sure if it was something his daughter designed or if they saw it somewhere and are borrowing the image of it. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out as it progresses. But that is what I love about the show, is seeing the projects in progress as we go. So thank you so much for sending that in, the duck. Thank you for all the people today that sent their entries in. And if you would like to have your project shown here on the show, go ahead and email me at woodchoppingtime@gmail.com. Post your pictures. Or if you just have woodworking questions, if you're working on your project and you're stuck and need some advice or need some help, feel free to email me. I will do my best to help you, to help get that project completed and done. Okay, so once again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep on dancing.